Hello students, welcome to my channel Biology Foundation. This is part 6 of Unit 4, Health and Hygiene. So in the previous video, we have discussed about air pollution, the causes of air pollution, its effects and ways to prevent it. In this video, I'll talk about few points which I missed out in the last video regarding air pollution, and we'll discuss and dive into a new topic which is water pollution. Okay. So one of the effects of air pollution is global warming. As we have discussed in the previous class or video, that from the exhaust of vehicles and even from the smoke released in industries, you have various types of gases that get released into the atmosphere, something like carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and methane. Okay, these gases are usually released into the atmosphere. So what actually happens is what is global warming? When sunlight falls on the surface of the earth, the rays of sunlight reach the earth's surface, and our like the planet earth absorbs these rays of sunlight, and few rays are reflected back. Okay, so rays of sunlight, they hit on the surface of the earth, and some of the rays of sunlight, they reflect back. Okay. But when the atmosphere is polluted with these harmful gases like carbon monoxide, nitrogen dioxide, methane, carbon monoxide, and all, these gases, they form a blanket, okay, on the surface of the earth. Now what happens is, when the rays of sunlight reach the earth, it touches the surface of the Earth's atmosphere, and Earth reflects few rays back. Now, these rays can't escape back into the space. Why? Because of these gases which are forming a blanket, not allowing the rays to escape back into the atmosphere. As a result of which, heat gets accumulated in the atmosphere, and there will be more rising temperature of the earth's atmosphere. Hence it is called global warming. Okay, you are basically trapping the heat by not allowing the rays of sunlight to escape into the atmosphere, who is not allowing these gases which are acting as blanket. Okay, these pollutants, they are acting as blanket, forming a layer on the surface of the earth, not allowing the rays of sunlight to be escaped outside, resulting in global warming. Okay, now what's the effect of global warming? What happens when there is a rise in the temperature of the earth's atmosphere, or when heat gets accumulated? It results in climate change. Okay, and even it causes melting of the mountain caps, glaciers. Okay, when I say climate change, what do I mean? We all know during summer season, usually the temperature should be around 40 to 45 degrees centigrade, right? During rainy season, it's the season where you need to get adequate amount of rainfall. That helps the plants for their growth. And during winter season, the atmosphere should be slightly cold. But when there is climate change, you observe changes in the climate patterns. Something like during summer seasons, you see more rainfall, and during the rainy season you won't find any rains. Instead, the atmosphere would be hot. Okay, such climatic changes in turn affect plants and even humans. Okay, so global warming is the heating up of the earth's atmosphere because of presence of blanket of gases which are not allowing the rays of light to get reflected back into the atmosphere. Okay, here you can see a small cartoon where the earth is saying, I'm too hot, no more greenhouse gas blankets. Can you see? And where from, how are these greenhouse gases getting released, or these gases are called greenhouse gases. Okay, so like your carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, uh, what actually is the source for these gases? Either the industries or activities like burning fossil fuels, burning wood, burning coal can release smoke which contains harmful gases like carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, methane, which act form a very thick blanket or layer on the surface of the earth, preventing the rays of sunlight to get reflected back, causing the heat to get accumulated in the earth's atmosphere. Okay, now as the heat gets accumulated, it results in rise in temperature of the earth, which is global warming, and in turn leads to climate change. Okay, so this is one more effect of air pollution. Okay, Next is acid rain. Okay, so apart from, like, I told you various harmful gases are released when you basically burn fossil fuels, or even in the industries. Either it can be paint industries, paper industries. Okay, they release various harmful gases. Right now, what is acid rain? Because of burning of wood, burning of coal, we know smoke gets released. This smoke is rich in sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. Okay, now where do this sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide uh, be present? They get escaped into the atmosphere. Once when you burn wood or coal, we know that there will be fire, and after the fire is extinguished, we know smoke is released. The smoke is rich in sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. The sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, which get escaped into the atmosphere, these sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide, they react with water present in the earth's atmosphere, the water vapor present. Okay, and form what? Highly concentrated sulfuric acid, H2SO4 and HNO3. Okay, these are acids. Okay, they are acidic in nature and very harmful to living organisms. So try to understand, when you burn wood, coal, okay, such uh, substances, or even smoke released from industries, they are rich in sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. The sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide gets escaped into the atmosphere and reacts with the water vapor present in the atmosphere. Okay, and this water, when it reacts with sulfur dioxide or with nitrogen dioxide, it forms a compound known as sulfuric acid or nitric acid. Okay, and nitric acid, these are acids, they are very harmful to living organisms. Okay, now when there is rainfall, these acids, they fall on the earth's surface and damage the aquatic life and even plants. Can you see these plants? There are no leaves. Why? Because when acid falls on, when acid falls on a leaf, what happens? Completely the leaves get burnt. Okay, you can see only the plant with branches, right? No leaves, there's no vegetation. So that's the reason you should go for cleaner fuels, something like wind energy, tidal energy, electrical energy. Or when you want to use fuel for cooking, opt for CNG. Okay, compressed natural gas, not using wood or coal, because burning wood and coal actually releases smoke which contains these harmful chemicals, which are responsible not only for acid rain, even for global warming. Okay, so these sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, they react with oxygen and water present in the earth's atmosphere, resulting in sulfuric acid or nitric acid. And when rain falls, along with the rain, the sulfuric acid, nitric acid falls on the earth's surface, damaging the vegetation and even can kill aquatic life. And even for humans, it causes skin diseases. Okay, acid rain, when it falls on humans, the person suffers with skin allergies. So we need to opt for cleaner fuels, smokeless sources of energy. Okay, next is ozone. Ozone, what's the molecular formula? It's O3. Okay, so ozone is released from vehicle exhausts, from the smoke present in the vehicle exhausts, and even in industries. Okay, industries, they are major sources for air pollution. Okay, that's the reason people say industries must be built quite far away from residential areas. Secondly, industries should have chimneys which are very high with electrostatic precipitators in them. Okay, so these electrostatic precipitators, what they do, which are present inside the chimneys, they remove the dust, soot particles, see that only clean air enters into the atmosphere. Okay, the electrostatic precipitators try to purify the smoke and see that the soot particles, other pollutants are collected back, and only the purified air is escaped into the atmosphere. So this, in the smoke that's released from the industries or from the exhaust of vehicles, you have ozone. Okay, now what's the damage or the effect of ozone? It can cause nasal irritation, where the person feels to sneeze a lot or cough, that is throat irritation. It can have effect, something like headache. When they inhale the air rich in ozone, then people feel either throat irritation, nasal irritation, or get frequent headaches. And if a person is exposed a lot to air rich in ozone, then there will be decline in lungs functioning. Okay, there won't be proper contraction relaxation, and it can impair the functioning of lungs. Okay, so that's about ozone. So in the previous class I forgot to mention about these things, where global warming is the major effect of air pollution because of these gases which are called as greenhouse gases. Okay, so when they ask you about greenhouse effect or global warming, both mean the same. Okay, where the earth's atmosphere is heated, or the temperature levels rise because of accumulation or of these gases, which form of these gases such as carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, which form a blanket around the earth's surface, not allowing the rays of light to get reflected back. Okay, acid rain, as I told you, sulfur and nitrogen dioxide, which they might ask you something like which gases are mostly responsible for acid rain. That is your sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide. This is a key point which you need to remember. Okay, sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide are the major gases that are responsible for acid rain, where they react with the water vapor present in the atmosphere, resulting in formation of sulfuric acid and nitric acid. And when rains fall along with that, this sulfuric acid, nitric acid, they fall on the earth's surface, causing skin allergies in human beings or damage the entire vegetation, or can kill the aquatic organisms and cause disbalance in the aquatic ecosystem. So it's better to opt for a cleaner source of energy, such as I have mentioned or given a picture of windmill. So we have to rely on such sources like your solar energy, wind energy, electrical energy, tidal energy, instead of burning wood or burning coal. And ozone we have seen, which is again major pollutant, and the source of it is from industries or from the exhaust of vehicles. It causes nasal irritation or throat irritation, headaches, and if a person is exposed for a long time, then it can result in failure or uh, improper functioning of lungs. Okay, so now let's begin with the new topic, which is water pollution. Okay, so see, try to understand from like when we were talking about health and hygiene. In my initial classes, I told you one must take balanced diet containing all nutrients in a proportionate manner according to their age, gender, and the type of work they do. And we also discussed about how not only just eating balanced diet, but even taking proper rest, doing proper exercise is key for health. And also we have to maintain personal hygiene, where there are certain habits that one must follow regularly, or they must imbibe in their lifestyle for to lead a healthy life, or to be as a healthy individual. And we discussed about personal hygiene, where we talked about um, in detail about oral hygiene, taking care of our eyes and hair. Then we discussed about community hygiene. Not only we being healthy, but even the surroundings around us must be kept clean so that we can be healthy. So that's where we talked about community hygiene. Now, when I talk about pollution, it's where even if we if we are eating balanced diet, even though if we are eating balanced diet, doing proper exercise, maintaining personal hygiene, seeing that even our surroundings are clean. But if the air we breathe is not pure, or if the water we drink is not actually pure, if it's contaminated, then also there is a chance of occurrence of disease, right? So it's very important that the air we breathe is of pure quality or good quality, and even the water that we drink is devoid of any harmful substances in it. Okay, so if you see, when I say pollution, it's addition of harmful substances into the environment that either degrades the quality of the environment or affects the health of an individual, right? Or health of living organism. Now here you can see pictures of water bodies where there are solid waste substances thrown in the water bodies. You have plastic thrown, certain like plastic bags thrown, and even the effluents, that means the waste substances coming from the industries, are directly being disposed of into the water bodies. And some water bodies, like most of the water bodies, they are rich in bacteria, which are mostly harmful. And there are algal there is algal growth seen. Maybe if you might have gone on a trip to villages, you might have seen few lakes where such extensive algal growth is seen. How this algal growth is a cause of pollution also we'll discuss in detail in the coming slides in today's video. So here you can see that the water is highly contaminated. Either it could be because of the solid waste or the plastics, or because of the presence of bacteria, harmful bacteria, or from the effluents or waste substances coming from industries. And we all know that life is impossible without water. We have many water bodies. 78% of the earth is water, but still not all water is potable. Is not potable means to drink, which is like it's not actually potable. So we have to see what are the sources of water pollution, what are the effects and ways to prevent water pollution. Okay, so when I say potable water, it means any water that is suitable to drink. Okay, so not all 78% of water that is present on the Earth's surface is suitable for drinking, and we are even more adding these waste substances, keeping it more unfit for drinking. Okay, so let's first understand what are the causes or the sources of water pollution. Main source of water pollution is industrial wastes. Okay, so industrial wastes are the major source for air pollution through the smoke, and also they are the source for water pollution through the liquid waste coming out of the industries. Now, this liquid waste which is coming out of these industries, it is highly rich in heavy metals such as lead, arsenic, mercury, cadmium. Okay, so these wastes are some of the industries, they release their liquid waste which is rich in these harmful chemicals directly into the water bodies. Okay, so industries release toxic substances such as heavy metals into the rivers and lakes, and sometimes industries release hot water directly into the waste. That is called thermal pollution. What is thermal pollution? Releasing hot water into the water body. When hot water is directly released into the water body, what happens? There will be a change in the temperature of the water body, which can cause an imbalance in the growth of the aquatic organisms present inside water. Is it clear? So the again I'm repeating, usually industries they release uh, harmful substances either in the form of smoke, which is major contribution for air pollution, or they might release liquid waste directly into the water bodies. These liquid wastes coming from industries are rich in lead, mercury and arsenic. Okay, and one more thing is sometimes few industries release hot waste coming from the machines directly, hot liquid waste coming from the machines directly into the water bodies. This liquid waste causes an imbalance in the temperature of the water bodies. Okay, and this imbalance or sudden change in the temperature causes imbalance growth of the aquatic organisms present in the water bodies. Okay, now, another source for water pollution is agricultural waste. How agricultural waste? We all know that when farmers, when they have a field, okay, for proper growth of the crop, he uses many chemical substances. What chemical substances does he use? He uses fertilizers, right? Pesticides, insecticides. Fertilizers are the substances that provide nutrients to the plant so that they can grow properly, so that the farmer gets good yield. He uses fertilizers. What are pesticides? Sidal means to kill. Okay, the meaning of sidal means to kill. Pests, we know pests are certain insects, so these are the chemical substances that are used by the farmers to kill insects which might damage his or her crop. In the same way, insecticides, what are insecticides? These are again the substances which kill insects that can damage the crop. When I say pests, they can be small flies, okay, which start eating the grains or may damage the leaf of the plant. Insecticides are those chemical substances which basically kill the insects in the field, as a result of which the farmer gets good crop. Okay, so when farmers use these fertilizers, pesticides and insecticides, the good side of it is, okay, these fertilizers provide proper nourishment to the plant, or the pesticides and insecticides protect the plant from pests and insects. But out of the 100% of fertilizers, pesticides, and insecticides that the farmer is using, maybe the plant utilizes only 30 to 50. Remaining excess fertilizers, they get leached or they get accumulated in the soil. Is that clear? So if you assume this is the soil and plants are growing, so basically, when the farmer sprays fertilizers or pesticides, only 30 to 50% of the fertilizers are utilized. Remaining gets accumulated in the soil. The pesticides, fertilizers, insecticides, all the weedicides, all these chemical substances get accumulated. When I say weedicides, these are again chemical substances which kill weeds. Weeds are what? Unwanted plants apart from your main crop, which compete with the main crop for their nutrients, space, sunlight, everything. Okay, so this excess amount of fertilizers, weedicides, pesticides, insecticides, all they get accumulated in the soil. Once they get accumulated in soil, when there is rain, what happens? This rain carries these chemical substances along with it into these water bodies like rivers and oceans and makes it unfit for drinking. Is it clear? So that's called chemical runoff, where rain washes the excess fertilizers, pesticides, weedicides into the water bodies. Whatever pesticides or chemical substances got accumulated in the soil, they get washed off, and rain carries it into the rivers and oceans. Okay, that causes water pollution. And apart from that, this leaching is nothing but when the excess amount of fertilizers they get accumulated in the soil, we use the term leaching. Okay, so this leaching actually is also a major contributor for your soil pollution as well. Okay, so since here we are talking about water pollution, how does it contribute for water pollution? The excess fertilizers, they get washed off through rain and get released into these water bodies like rivers and oceans. And other major source for water pollution is your domestic waste. Okay, when I say domestic waste, that means waste coming from our houses, something like vegetable peels or excreta of the human beings, or it could be the detergent soaps that we use for bathing. Okay, all these wastes. Okay, when the sewer pipes, we all know that the water coming from our washrooms, they get released into the drainage pipes, and the drainage pipes or the sewer pipes are usually connected to the sewage plant. If you remember, in my previous videos we talked about sewage treatment, where solids get separated from the liquid, right? But if those waste coming from the sewer lines or from the drainage pipes, if they are directly released into the water bodies, again it is a source of water pollution, where you are contaminating the water bodies with all the wastes, soaps, detergents, which are chemical substances, right? And sometimes even human activities are cause of water pollution. When we go to a beach, right, it's a habit of many people that they whatever chips they eat or the water bottles they carry, after it's done, they, instead of throwing them in the dustbins, obvious, like, I mean, you can carry them with you, those wrappers, and then throw it in the dustbin, but people usually just dispose it off in the beach or into these water bodies. Okay, so that's again a source of water pollution. So majorly the main source for water pollution is industrial waste. Apart from that, you have agricultural waste, which can act as a source of water pollution, or even the domestic waste, which is excreta, or the vegetable peels of vegetables, fruits, soaps and detergents, the chemical substances can also act. And sometimes people dump their waste directly into water bodies, even that can act as a source of water pollution. Second major source of water pollution is sewage contamination. Okay, as I just now, as we have discussed, major cause is when you frequently dump the sewer pipelines. That means the waste, liquid or the solid waste coming from living organisms, if they are directly released into the water bodies, that's major source for water pollution. Second major source, first is industrial waste, that is the waste coming from industries. Either it could be heavy metals or it could be thermal water, that means hot water directly getting released into the water body. Second major source is the sewage contamination, drainage pipes or the sewer pipes, those the waste that are present, if they in the drainage pipes or the sewer pipes, if they are directly released into the water bodies, it's again a major source of water pollution. And now the water gets contaminated because it has many disease causing microorganisms in it. Okay, disease causing microorganisms are called pathogens. Okay, What are they called? Pathogens. Okay, so excreta, cattle dung, excreta of human beings, cattle dung. Okay, they are rich in microorganisms. So you are contaminating the water with microorganisms, making it unfit for drinking. One more source for water pollution is petroleum oil spills. That is when there is an export or import of diesel, petrol, all these petroleum oils, and if there is any leakage, okay, so uh, then there is a chance for spillage of oils into the water bodies. Even that can act as a cause for water pollution. So we have discussed about the various sources of water pollution: industrial waste, agricultural waste, domestic waste, sewage contamination, and oil spills. That means spillage that occurs during the import or export of various kinds of oils like petrol, diesel. And major sources are: first is industrial waste, and second is sewage contamination. Okay, when I say domestic waste, I'm not particularly talking about only the sewage. We must also talk about the peels, fruit waste, or the vegetable waste that you directly dump into the water bodies, or the garbage that is dumped. Okay, or soaps and detergents, the chemical substances that are released come under domestic waste. Okay, as it's mentioned here, human excreta, sorry, excreta, food waste, soaps, detergents, and garbage. Okay, next is effects. So what is the effect of this water pollution on human beings? So, firstly, the major effect is when people drink such contaminated water, obviously they get diseased. Why? Because such water, uh, when water is polluted, it is rich in various kinds of harmful microorganisms in it. Okay, so that's the reason people, when they drink such contaminated water, then there are high chances that they suffer from various diseases like typhoid, cholera, dysentery, and hepatitis. Okay, typhoid, cholera, they are bacterial diseases. Hepatitis is a viral disease. Okay. Dysentery usually caused by Shigella. Cholera, it's caused by Vibrio cholera, a bacterium. Typhoid caused by Salmonella typhi, again a bacterium. Okay. Hepatitis caused by hepatitis virus. So when people drink contaminated water, there are certain symptoms, either high fever or stomach upset, stomach pain, okay, or nodular sensation, vomiting. All this are usually seen in in the people who suffer from such waterborne diseases. Okay, so major effect is when we drink such polluted water, then we get diseased with any of this uh, bacteria or viral organisms. Okay, second effect of water pollution is this: the industrial discharge. That means the harmful chemical waste, liquid waste that is getting released directly from industries into the water bodies. It is rich in various kinds of acids and bases. Bases are also called alkalis. Okay, now, these acids and alkalis, they kill useful microorganisms present in the water. Now, water not only has harmful bacteria or harmful microbes in it, it has certain good microorganisms in it. Okay, even those microorganisms are killed. Not only that, sometimes these acids and bases that are added into the water bodies, they change the pH of the water body, and thus can disturb the growth of aquatic life, basically your fish that grow in the water bodies. Okay, and third effect is the heavy metals. If you remember, I told you in my previous slide that the industrial waste, that liquid waste that is getting released into the water bodies, is rich in heavy metals. Okay, now once these heavy metals are released into the water body, what happens? Now fish consumes this water. Okay, or when this fish eat the zooplanktons and all, they consume these heavy metals along with them. Now we eat fish, then obviously those heavy metals get entered into our bodies. Are you understanding? Again, I'll repeat. Basically, the phytoplanktons mean small plants which are growing in water bodies. Zooplanktons are small insects that grow in the water bodies. Now, these small insects are eaten by small fish. Now, these small fish are eaten by the big fish, and we basically, when we do fishing, we eat fish, right? So, the heavy metals which are present in the water body, they enter into the phytoplanktons, from the phytoplanktons into the zooplankton. That means plants which grow in the water body, they use the water present in the water body, which is rich in lead, cadmium, and mercury. These plants are eaten by insects, which we are calling it as zooplankton. The insects are eaten by small fish. The small fish are eaten by the big fish, and we eat this big fish. Now what actually is happening is the lead, cadmium, mercury that is present, it enters into the plants. From the plants it's going into the insects, from insects it's going into the fish, as a result of which there is high concentration of these chemicals getting accumulated in the bodies of human beings, which we call it as bioconcentration, where or bioaccumulation, where toxic heavy metals or chemical wastes are getting accumulated in the human body because of water pollution, because of contamination of the water with this industrial waste. Okay, now toxic heavy metals, as I told you, lead, copper, cadmium, mercury. Okay, and even we know these lithium batteries that we use, they also have certain metals. Okay, when you just dispose of them into the water bodies, all these chemicals get released into the water. Plants utilize that water because plants need water for their growth. Aquatic plants, I'm not talking about the land plants, I'm talking about the water plants such as lotus, lily, vallisneria, hydrilla, right? If you remember, we talked about various kinds of hydrophytes. Okay, so we know there are certain plants which are growing in the water bodies. Now insects that feed on the, now plants take up the lead and mercury from the water, and insects that feed on these plants also get contaminated. Then fish feed on the insects, big fish feed on the small fish, and when we do fishing and eat the fish, then we are basically eating contaminated food, contaminated fish containing many toxic chemical wastes in it. Okay, now that's called bioconcentration or bioaccumulation. Okay, so this slide I have put the various harmful effects of water pollution. There are four effects where we'll be talking about the next effect in the other slide. But the major effects include uh, bacteria or the harmful microorganism, whether it is bacteria or virus, basically the pathogens, they can cause various diseases to human beings when we consume that contaminated water. Alkalis and bases that are released from the industrial waste can change the pH, causing killing the microbes present in the water bodies and even disturbing the life of fish or aquatic life in the water bodies. Thirdly, the heavy metals accumulation can result in bioconcentration in where our bodies are completely contaminated with these heavy metals. When these heavy metals are accumulated, what will happen? It can affect our organs, okay, various organs. There won't be proper functioning of your kidneys, brain, liver, okay, stomach, everything. One more major effect of water pollution is something known as eutrophication. Okay, it's another major effect of water pollution. What is eutrophication? Before we understand, just see this picture where you can see nicely there is a water body. There are certain aquatic plants which are growing. You have fish, then there are nutrients present in the water body. Plants, obviously, when they perform photosynthesis, they release oxygen, right? So this oxygen is in turn used by the fish for their breathing. And how can plants perform their photosynthesis? Only when there is sufficient amount of sunlight. So sunlight must, when it falls on the surface of the water, and obviously photosynthesis is performed, oxygen is released, and this oxygen is utilized by the fish for their respiration. Okay, and this is a good water body, I mean to say healthy water body, where all aquatic life are growing properly. Okay, now let's understand eutrophication considering a scenario where beside this water body there are few factories. Okay, or there is a cropland. Okay, can you see here there is a crop field, right? Now let's assume there is a farmer present. This farmer, he's spraying fertilizers for good yield of the crop. And what did I tell you in the previous slide? Only 30 to 50% of the fertilizer will be actually utilized by the plant. Okay, remaining what will happen? It gets accumulated in the soil. When there is rain, what will happen? This chemicals they get released into the water body. Now this water body is completely contaminated because of this waste from fertilizers. Okay, excess fertilizers, where these fertilizers are rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Okay, so the water body is highly contaminated because of the release of fertilizers which are rich in these elements, that is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Now your water body is rich in nutrients. Why is it rich in nutrients? Because you have these nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, as a result of which algae starts growing in the water body. Okay, uh, if you observe, I have shown you in the first slide. Can you see this, where the water body is completely covered with algae? Okay, do you remember algae are small plants belonging to Thallophyta? If you if you haven't watched, please watch my videos on Unit 2, Classification of Living Organisms, where we talked in detail about the various systems of classification. Okay, so basically, fer- when the fertilizers, excess fertilizers, they get washed off into the water body, we know that the nutrients present in the fertilizer, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, they get released into the water body. Now once the water body is rich in nutrients, there will be excessive growth of algae. Algal growth will be very high. Okay, now what happens is these algae they grow for a period of time, and after that they die. Okay, once when they die, what will happen? There will be certain organisms which have to decompose these algae. Who are they? Fungi and bacteria. Okay, they are decomposers. Decomposers means they break down complex substances into simple substances. Just like, for example, if there is a person who died, okay, then obviously the person is buried in soil, and if you see after few years the place where you have buried the person, will the person's body be the same in the soil? No. The soil bacteria or the fungal organisms present in the bacteria, they decompose the flesh of the person's body into simple substances, adding nutrients to the soil. So here also the same. Initially, the fertilizers that got discharged into the water bodies due to rain, they are rich in nutrients. Now these excessive nutrients allow the growth of algae. Algae, after their growth, they die after a period of time. Okay, during which, as they die, they have to be decomposed. Okay, so for the decomposition of this algae, who start growing in the water body? Fungi and bacteria. Okay, now these fungi and bacteria, you can see the picture here, small microorganisms that start growing. Okay, so basically these fungi and bacteria, they utilize the oxygen present in the water. Okay, completely they utilize that oxygen for decomposing algae. Now the water is devoid of oxygen levels. Okay, there is very less. Let me erase it. It's oxygen. Okay, because all the oxygen is utilized by fungi and bacteria only. Why fungi and bacteria are utilizing this oxygen? To break down the algal complex substances into complex matter into simple matter. Okay, now during this process, when complete oxygen is being utilized by algae and fungi, there is no oxygen left for fish, as a result of which the fish will die and there will be no aquatic life. Okay, now what is eutrophication? Eutrophication is the excess growth of algae because of enriching the water body with nutrients rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Is it clear? When I say eutrophication, it is excess growth of algae that covers the surface of the water body, water bodies which are rich in nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Why do the water bodies get become rich with nutrients? Because of the discharge of waste either from the industries, or major source for the release of uh, the major source for the nutrients to be rich in the water bodies is because of fertilizers which are being used by the farmers in the soil. Okay, so farmers use fertilizers to make his crop grow in good yield, but the downside of it is basically not all the nutrients present in the fertilizer are utilized by plants. Excess fertilizers get leached in the soil, and when rain comes, rain watch rain washes away these uh, chemicals into the water bodies. It releases into the water bodies. Now these fertilizers are rich in which nutrients? Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. This nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium build, or they stimulate the growth of algae in the water bodies. Once algae grow, they grow for a period of time, after which they die. When they die, who starts growing? Fungi and bacteria grow, utilize this algae. They break down the algae into simpler substances using the oxygen present in the water bodies. But oxygen is needed even for the fish to grow. But most of the oxygen is being utilized by fungi and algae. So the water body becomes depleted with oxygen. Can you see this meter? Initially, there was high amount of oxygen, but now it became very low because most of the oxygen is utilized by fungi and bacteria only, and less amount of oxygen is left for the fish to grow, and they die. So it completely disturbs the aquatic ecosystem. That means it disturbs the life of the various living organisms present in the water body. Okay, and what is eutrophication? It is excessive growth of algae due to the enrichment of nutrients in the water bodies by excess use of fertilizers. I have given a summary of eutrophication. So, when the water bodies are polluted or contaminated with fertilizers or sewage, that is human excreta, cow dung, and all, then the water bodies are rich with nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which stimulate growth of algae, where you can see the water body is completely filled with algae. Okay, that process only you call it as eutrophication, or they are also called algal blooms. Blooms means excessive growth of algae is seen on the water body, so algal bloom formation occurs. Algae covers the surface, blocking sunlight. Sunlight can't enter into the water body. Plants can't grow. There will be no release of oxygen. Algae die and they are decomposed by fungi and bacteria. Fungi and bacteria utilize the remaining oxygen, whatever is present in the water body. No oxygen is left for the fish. Fish will die, and the cycle continues. Okay, so that is eutrophication. Major source of eutrophication is fertilizers and sewage waste, which is being directly disposed of into the water bodies. These fertilizers and sewage are rich in organic nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, which will stimulate growth of algae. When algae grows as a mesh, as a layer on the water body, it blocks the entry of sunlight into the water body. When sunlight can't reach the water bodies, what will happen? Plants can't perform photosynthesis. There will be no release of oxygen and plants will die. So even these algae are photosynthetic plants, even they die. And once they die, who starts growing in the pond? Decomposes, like your fungi and bacteria. These fungi and bacteria utilize the remaining oxygen present in the water body, because there is no new oxygen which is being formed, because all plants have died. Why plants have died? Because there is no way sunlight is entering into the water bodies. Why sunlight is not entering? Because of the excessive growth of algae initially, right? So oxygen is completely depleted because all oxygen is utilized by fungi and bacteria. No oxygen is available for fish. Fish die. Cycle continues if you dispose the sewage and if you use excess fertilizers in the field. Clear? So that's about the effects of water pollution, how it affects us. Firstly, we can get diseases when we consume contaminated water. It can disturb the aquatic life, or our bodies get accumulated with waste substances when you feed on fish coming from such contaminated water bodies, and we might even disturb the aquatic ecosystem. So let's understand the ways to prevent water pollution. Okay, so there are various ways to prevent water pollution: waste treatment and disposal, input and chemical control, organizational infrastructural initiatives, public awareness, and environmental action. Let's talk about each of it in detail. Firstly, the waste treatment and disposal. That means whatever waste is being generated, either it is industrial waste, or it could be domestic waste, or it could be the sewage waste present, the solid and the liquid waste present in the sewer pipes. So we have toxic industrial waste, sewage waste, biodegradable waste, First, let's talk about the industrial waste. The industrial waste must be treated chemically first. Okay. Once it is treated chemically, what happens? The chemical substances are completely neutralized and then they can be discharged. They can be disposed of into the water bodies. So, whatever liquid waste is coming from the industries, it must be first sent into treatment plants where it is treated chemically to convert the harmful substances into harmless substances. Now, once the harmful substances are neutralized, then they can be released into the water bodies. Okay. Secondly, sewage treatment. So the solid and liquid waste that is coming from the sewer pipes, the sewage waste must be sent to the sewage treatment plant. What happens in the sewage treatment plant? We know the sewage is bifurcated or segregated into liquid waste and solid waste. What happens to the solid waste? The solid waste is used as manure. What happens to the liquid waste? The liquid waste is again sent for treatment where harmful substances are completely neutralized. Then it is filtered. After filtering, it is potable. Clear? So, in the sewage treatment, organic matter must be removed. Organic matter means all your elements. It is rich in carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and all. If this organic matter, if the sewage is directly disposed of, it can result in eutrophication. Just now we have discussed, right? So, it must be treated by sending it into the sewage treatment plant. Next is biodegradable waste. What is biodegradable waste? Waste which can be decomposed, such as paper, vegetable waste, or your fruit waste. All these are biodegradable waste. They must be treated in biogas plants where it can give rise to biofuel, okay, to obtain fuel and manure. Okay. Next, dead bodies should be never they should never be disposed of directly in the river. Okay. Maybe you might have seen people, they either burn the dead bodies and then release the ashes, right? Or they bury the body in the ground. Never you should directly release the dispose of the or throw the bodies of either the human being or animals, any living organism, into water bodies. What happens again when the dead bodies are released directly into water bodies? There will be accumulation of fungi and bacteria, which are decomposers. They act on the animal or the human body, break them into simple substances. During this process, they utilize all the oxygen present in the water body. As a result, the fish eventually die. So there will be an imbalance in the aquatic ecosystem. Next is input and chemical control. That is, the fertilizers and pesticides that farmers use shouldn't be in excess amounts. If they use in excess amount, then there will be more amount of accumulation in the soil itself, because plants use only a little amount. So instead of using fertilizers and pesticides, it would be better if farmers prefer manure. Okay, because fertilizers and pesticides, they are chemical substances. You are causing pollution to the environment. So instead, go for use the manure. So fertilizers and pesticides, if at all, if the farmers are using, then shouldn't be these substances shouldn't be used in excess. Nextly, synthetic detergents shouldn't be used when we are bathing or even for washing our clothes. It's better if we use biodegradable detergents. Synthetic detergents, what happens when they use, they're rich in chemicals. These chemicals, when they're released into the water bodies, then water gets contaminated, right? Thirdly, organizational and infrastructural initiatives. That means even government has to take a role. It must see this water pollution as a major issue, right? Because water is a resource which everyone needs for their survival. If water gets contaminated and it is not fit for drinking, then obviously life can't exist, right? And even if the water is present and it is completely contaminated, then aquatic life also can't survive, right? So governments must take initiatives, must see that uh, water bodies are not contaminated, or if they are contaminated, they must try ways how it can be treated, and how those contaminated water bodies are shifted, or I mean to say are converted again into fresh water bodies. Okay. And even industries, we have various industries, drug industries, paint industries, paper industries, textile industries. Okay, they release, apart from releasing their product, which could be a cloth or a paper or a paint or a particular drug, during this process they release many waste substances. So they have to see that those waste substances are not directly disposed of. This, they should make it a rule that these waste that must be first sent into the treatment plants, then they have to be released. Or when they are releasing the waste, it shouldn't be very hot. First it has to come down to its normal temperature, then released into the water bodies, right? One more thing is public awareness and environmental action, which is people must be made aware that if you pollute the water bodies, like there are still some people in the villages who bathe in water bodies where they wash their clothes in the water bodies. So in this way, you're polluting the water bodies with the synthetic detergents that you are using, right? So people must be made aware that water is a natural resource and it's our responsibility to protect it. And plantation drives must be conducted, like uh, one mahotsav, like plants must be grown. So environmental actions must also be taken by the government, and people must also be made aware about uh, pollution, about what, not only water pollution, whether it is air pollution, noise, soil pollution, whatever it is. People must be made aware about it and see what are the sources, causes, and its effects, and what can be done daily, like what can be done, what changes must be made in our lifestyle, in our day-to-day habits, so that we can reduce this water pollution. Okay, so something like, as I told you, maybe farmers can rely on the biodegradable source like manures instead of fertilizers and pesticides, right? And even when we are using soaps, it's better we use biodegradable soaps uh, instead of using the chemical soaps, okay, or the detergents that we use for bathing. Clear? So in today's video we have talked about, like, I started with few points that I forgot to mention in my previous video on air pollution, where we talked about global warming, and we discussed about acid rain and ozone. Then we dived into the topic of water pollution. What are its causes? The major causes include industrial and sewage contamination. What are its effects on the aquatic life, on human beings? uh, and it's quite important that you understand eutrophication, which is due to excessive nutrients present in the water body, and these nutrients get uh, like, from where am I getting these nutrients? Because of the fertilizers and the sewage that gets disposed of or discharged directly into water bodies. And even bioconcentration is something where it's asked in certain exams. Okay, so this is the eutrophication summary, and we discussed about the ways to prevent water pollution. Clear? So if you have any doubts, please feel free to comment it down. And if you haven't watched my previous videos, please do watch them from my playlist, grade 6 CBSE or ICSC, and enjoy the process of learning. If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Biology Foundation. Bye bye. Have a good day.